Welcome to the Fight Game. He's Icewater, I'm Puma, and this week, man, who are we going to talk about?
Well, it's a lot going on. So you mentioned somebody you wanted to congratulate. Let's start there.
Z-Back, our guy, Buddy McGurk, his fighter. I want to congratulate him on defending his WBO World Middleweight Championship. This is a judge that I tend not to, every time I hear his last name, I always suspect of him. Tim Cheatham scored the fight 116-112. Cheatham, changed your last name. David Moretti, 116-112. And then Steve Westfield scored the fight 118 to 110. Congratulate. He's a phenomenal fighter. If you haven't seen this guy, he's a phenomenal fighter. He defeated Denzel Bentley in a 12-round decision. So I want to give a congratulations to him. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, just wanted to take a look at some of the potential fights that are coming up, but we also want to kind of get a little, get your opinion on what you think about the matchup, how marquee it may be, something to that effect. First off, let's jump out into whenever that might come together. WBC has been putting out a lot of mandatories out there, but one of the fights we talked about that's already been pretty much close to signing is David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. Your thoughts?
I'm going to give the edge to Benavidez. When I saw a Plant fight, and I've been seeing him fight lately, he fought and won his last fight. I don't think he is better than Benavidez, even though he talks a lot. He talks a good fight. I was really disappointed the way he lost to Canelo. He just ran out of gas. And to me, he gave Canelo a lot more respect than Canelo deserved because he was just tired. And talking to him during the fight, trying to lessen the ass whooping he took from Canelo. So I got to go with Benavidez. I think Benavidez is licking his chops to get one of these fighters to fight him and to take him out. So I'm looking forward to a Benavidez kind of landslide victory over Caleb Plant.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting fight. The one thing I like about it is Caleb Plant has always mentioned about himself trying to win another rematch with Canelo Alvarez. And before he does that, he has to prove himself, I think, to get into the ring with the fighter that's not perhaps maybe over the hill, like in his last victory. And Benavidez has been one to prove himself, to try to prove that he deserves to be back on top or in that area. So I think it's two guys that really that need one another, because the winner is going to show, hey, I'm ready, I'm top notch, I'm ready to take that next step. It can be really tough for the loser though, but I think it's a fight that's definitely that's definitely needed, and it can serve the winner very well.
Yeah, I remember I was talking a few shows ago where I was saying, did you see a scenario with Plant fighting Canelo again? And I remember you saying, oh no, that's pretty much done. But here he is again, and maybe it's what Canelo wants, to fight somebody he already beat and already kind of trained for and already knows. But I think that Benavidez is going to be the wild card, take out Plant and then get to Canelo, which I don't think Canelo wants any hard fights, to be honest with
you. Yeah. Another fight possibly look at is Naoya Inoue, a monster, versus Paul Butler. They're supposed to be getting together to fight bantamweight for the undisputed title. We know what the monster is. Paul Butler's kind of called him out a little bit. The monster wants to solidify this the belts as undisputed before he decides to try to maybe move up. Your thoughts?
I always like the monster. I don't think he gets enough praise. I don't think he gets enough love from the boxing world. Those who know and watch them fight knows that he's a guy that is in the top 10 of pound for pound boxing. And so I hope this fight kind of propels him into the spotlight with a lot of other fighters. I don't know if it's because, we're not used to seeing Asian fighters in boxing, and we don't really kind of give them love. But this is the guy to watch. As far as I'm concerned, this is the guy that I think that's going to be, eventually in the top 3 pound for pound. When you're looking at the tail of the tape of this particular fight, he's undefeated against a guy who's lost twice, 19 knockouts with 23 fights. He has a knockout rate of 83%. If you're not watching this guy or punching him up on YouTube, get a look at this guy. This guy's for real. He's a southpaw, and he's the real deal fighting out of Japan.
Yeah, the last fight, the way that he handled, I'm talking about the monster in a way, the way he handled the legend Donaire was amazing. But this is great against Butler because again, it's for undisputed. And if he wins this fight, the possibility he can move up and fight more great fighters, which is what we want to see. You know, you don't want him to just stay in that area and just be a great champion down there because it's clear that the only way he can really be truly tested is going to be able to be moved is to move up a little bit and maybe deal with some other top-notch fighters on that level.
Okay. Any other fights we should be looking forward to?
The WBC also announced that they want to mandate that Tony Harrison fights our big 6'7", 6'5" guy, Fundora. I think that's going to be a very interesting fight. Your thoughts?
Tony Harrison, who got knocked out by one of the Charlo brothers. I guess I think it's his last time out, right?
Or two times out. Two
times out. Okay. He has to really kind of. It's almost like he has to go through this particular guy as a young gun. Fundora is the type of guy we talked about it before. To me, he does unnecessary things in his fight. He has the reach and the height advantage, but he rarely tries to use it. And if he does that in this particular fight with Tony Harrison, I think it's possible if he's trying to fight in close with him and kind of trying to bang it out, I don't think he will last. I really don't think he will last. And that's going to be a shame where a guy who doesn't use his reach advantage and use that as trying to win a fight, I think that's going to hurt him in the long run. It's almost like, I think you said it last time, he likes to fight inside. He doesn't need to fight inside. So if he does that same strategy he's been doing and winning these fights so far, I think it's going to be a short night for him.
Yeah, Tony Harrison is a very smart fighter. He showed that the first time he fought Charlo. Mm-hmm. If he stays smart and keeps boxing and move around, and then when Fundora does come inside, he punishes him for coming inside, it can be very interesting. But we just need to find out which Tony Harrison is going to show up.
Yeah. Because he really looked bad against Charlo the second time. Really looked bad.
Yeah, but you know, Charlo is the type of guy that he feasts off revenge. You know, he comes in so much ready and focused, and that's what he's able to do. And it was only a matter of time. But I just want to see which one, which Tony Harrison is going to show up. One last one about Pitbull Cruz is scheduled or mandated to fight Shakur Stevenson, and people love Ivan Pitbull Cruz for the longest time. So your thoughts?
My thoughts with this particular fight is Pitbull Cruz fought Tank Davis, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. And Tank Davis handled him. And I think it'll be easier for Stevenson to handle. Stevenson is a much more craftier fighter than Tank Davis, in my opinion. And I think this will be an easy fight for Stevenson because he's just really savvy. I think we talked about last time, his last fight, he has grown into his grown man body at this particular time. And, you know, he couldn't keep up the weight the last time in his last fight because he finally got that grown man body. And I think that's not going to serve Cruz really well in this particular fight. I see Stevenson having an easy night, picking him off. And if Cruz gets too aggressive, putting him down, TKO, knockout.
Yeah, interesting point there. When you think about it, Stevenson is crafty. He comes off, he has that style. You say you want to rough it up, he can rough it up with you, but he understands that he can pull back out. He's more of what we call a technician. Mm-hmm. He can bang with you, but he also go out there and get some style points because he can box with you, and he waits for you to make a mistake. And I don't want to compare him to Floyd Mayweather, but he's his own version of who he is, but he's able to kind of use that technician where he's rocking around waiting, and once he sees you when you make a mistake or he sees an opening, he takes full advantage of it. And I think the fight that Pitbull Cruz wants to fight is to always be aggressive, be on top of him, leaning in, a la back in the day, Roberto Duran, and just always being the aggressor. But when those punches are coming off his head, and then you see Stevenson slipping and still coming up with uppercuts, it's going to be tough because you have to have some type of composure unless you catch Stevenson right with a great shot, a couple great shots. You don't have the composure. You're gonna sooner or later you're gonna probably tire, and he's gonna make you pay.
Yeah. So we saw a UFC fight last week, and when I watched the fight, Ice, what I saw was Israel did not want to be in the wheelhouse of the power of Pereira because I guess he felt his strength. He took him to the ground once with a nice takedown, but he did not want to tussle with this guy because this guy looked like when he was throwing a punch. I forget what boxing commentator used to say this. The punches were coming with bad intentions. He wasn't playing with these punches, and he pretty much set him up because Israel likes to kick to the legs a lot, and he caught him with a block to when he was trying to kick, and Israel says that that really kind of hit a pressure point or a bone, and that he really couldn't get away in that fifth round. And Alex Pereira just took him out in that fifth round, and now he is the new champion in the middleweight division. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Israel. I always thought he was probably one of the top champions, but this is a guy you faced a long time ago, and that was back in the during the when you guys were on. They were on the kickboxing circuit, right? So we know he's tough. You know he understands you, and I think it's more of a mental type thing too. And not to say that he didn't hurt his leg or his foot or whatever, but you're winning that fight. Even if you dance around and move around, you don't have to prove anything. You just have to survive. And he didn't. So I'm thinking that it might be a mental thing. Perhaps he needed to take this L. Maybe there's going to be a rematch. And then maybe he can say, okay, now that I lost, I understand what I did wrong and I'm not afraid. So I'll do that. But this UFC game is so different and crazy that you never know what the outcome could be.
Yeah, you got to watch every fight because you never know who's going to win. Israel did say that he wants it to be a trilogy, that he wants him to get back in the ring with him, and then they have a rubber match, the third match, and make it a big time fight. I'm pretty sure people will pay for it because it was actually a good fight. And Alex Pereira's corner at the last round said, "You need a knockout to win. You need a knockout to win." And I think there were two fights that night where the corner was like, "You need a knockout to win." In these fighters, a favorite Chinese MMA fighter won a championship again. Any thoughts about that fight?
Yes, I think it was Zhang. Zhang won, and she is, man, she's tough. Um, I've only actually saw her lose one time, and she had it took everything that the fighter had. I think she lost to Rose, yeah,
Um,
Doug Rose. I think so.
Either that, her, or it's another one. I forget. I can't call her name right now.
Right, but I think she lost to Doug Rose,
Okay.
and the part of it is it shows you that, and I say this all the time, that I think that in fights, styles make fights, and a lot of times fighters, no matter what the sport, they have their kryptonite. And the kryptonite, those individuals know what I mean by that. They kind of know the tendencies of these fighters and they know how to get in their heads. They also know how they can break their style. And perhaps the way that Rose lost, the way that Zhang lost to Rose, it was difficult for her. But when she fought somebody else, like when she won this title, it shows you that she's still marquee. She just may have a lot of trouble with somebody else with a different style. That's very good. So I love these fights. I think she's a top-notch champion. She got a lot of support in the crowd. She got it done. She's one of the best.
The other fights that were on that card, Dustin Poirier. Every time you think he's pretty much done, he defeats Michael Chandler in a submission, a rear choke. Interesting thing about that fight, after the fight, he goes up to him and says, "You know what, bruh? I was actually afraid to fight you." But he was like, fear breeds like bravery or some kind of a saying like that. And so to face your fears, and you never know where it will come out if you just face them. Chris Gutierrez defeats Frankie Edgar in a knockout in the first round with a knee. Dan Hooker won his fight. Renato Kano wins his fight. There was just a lot of fights, and I have to give it to the UFC. They put a bunch of fights together in the prelims and then going towards the main events that just keep you. It's like a night at the fights. It'll keep you from 6 p.m. to, to midnight if you let them do it. So they got a good thing going, and that's why I'm so glad that the WBC is making these mandatory fights to kind of compete with the UFC now. Any thoughts? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think with the mandatory mandates by the WC means it says a lot. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of those fights in 2023 moving forward because boxing fans deserve that. We're getting away from the pandemic and whatnot, so people want to get back out to the fights. And now the fighters want it, so we have to remove all of the drama and everything like that too. We want to be able to have these fights, see them. And there's nothing like great fights during the winter, right? When you live in the East or the Midwest where it's cold, you like want to, get you hot chocolate or get you, Uncle Ernest, whatever you need to get you right, and sit there and watch and see some very great entertainment from a boxing and UFC standpoint. So I hope they come together and that we get them in a timely fashion.
He's Icewater. I'm Puma, and this is the Fight Game.